Thank you very much, Dr. Mustak and the AIT team, and thank you to all the participants and the fellow speakers for the very interesting remarks so far. I'm very happy to be sharing some experiences from Finland in this about 20-minute slot that I've been given. Very honored to speak on this highly relevant and interesting topic that is also a political priority for Finland as well, and also here in the embassy regionally. During my presentation, I'll be first giving a bit of an overview of the Finnish circular economy framework, including our national circular economy roadmap, before proceeding to the issue of circular cities in Finland with some practical examples as well. So about the Finnish national roadmap for circular economy, the idea is that it's a multi-stakeholder approach to find complete solutions towards a systemic change instead of quick fixes here and there, but really circular economy is about systemic change that requires contribution from all, including the cities and municipalities, but not them alone, but also from the private sector and many others. This is also based on 4 cross-sectoral goals. Of course, renewable of the foundations of competitiveness and vitality. Sustainability and growth are not mutually exclusive, but actually being sustainable and having a circular economy can offer major business opportunities and growth opportunities and competitiveness. Of course, transfer to low carbon energy. This is something driven by the climate change very heavily. Finland is today gets over 40% of its energy from renewables, but it's aimed to increase much higher. Natural resources regarded as scarcities. This is one major goal behind our national circular economy roadmap, that to ensure that all materials are returned to the cycle again and again. And then finally, everyday decisions must be seen as a driving force, because much of our greenhouse gas emissions are actually related to housing, transportation, and food, and those things that are really about our everyday decisions. Finland, as a relatively small innovation nation, is actually quite well suited to try out new innovations and even experiments at city level and broader for circular economy with the help of digital solutions. So, for example, in renewable energy, nutrition recycling, low carbon timber construction, recycling of municipal waste, or rehabilitation of contaminated land, for example. But I would now like to move on to the focus of cities. And of course, as we all know, and as we have heard from the presentations, is that cities as kind of cradles of innovation and transformation, they have an enormous potential to lead the transition to a circular economy. And municipalities and cities may function as accelerators by activating local communities, operators, or implementing sustainable public procurement, or by encouraging industries and inhabitants to take action, or by helping different partners and different organizations to build new partnerships. Cities are, of course, they are themselves planners, buyers, customers, property developers and licensing authorities, and many other things, and of course, as such, very key players in fields as diverse as mobility, waste management, land use, urban planning, or number of public services from education to libraries and culture and many more. But to make this presentation a bit more lively, I would like to at this point share with you a short video that actually contains some interviews from some of the pioneer cities of Finland who have taken strong action to start to implement circular economy practices around the country. And we have agreed with AIT that you will show the video from your screen.
halutaan tehdä Suomesta kestävä yhteiskunta. Siirrymme uusiutuvaan energiaan, pyrimme kokonaan eroon jätteistä ja tavoittelemme maapallon kantokyvyn mukaista kulutustasoa.
Se tarkoittaa, että me täällä päiväkodissa yhdessä lasten kanssa lajittelemme ja kierrätämme jätteet mahdollisimman tarkasti.
Me toivomme, että asemakaavavaiheessa kaikki massat pidetään siellä asemakaavan sisällä eikä mitään massoja viedä sieltä ulos. Se tarkoittaa sitä, että tämä meidän purettu Hämeenkylän koulumme on käytetty infran rakentamiseen kadun pohjaksi.
Olisiko teillä ukulele ja kahvakuulla lainata?
Kyllä vai. Tässä.
Ja pinkkikahva.
Ja pinkkikahva.
Ai että.
Moi! Me ollaan valmiita tekemään tosi paljon töitä, että me saadaan ruokahävikin määrää vähennettyä. Ja näihin talkoisiin me toivotaan, että kaikki jyväskyläläiset tulee mukaan.
Tekemään tosi paljon töitä, ettei syntyisi turhaa rotkaa ja jätettä.
Nämä oppilaat, minun pullamurut varsinkin, keksii huisin hienoja ideoita materiaalien tehokkaaseen hyödyntämiseen.
Me toivomme, että kaikki riihimäkeläiset tarttuisivat toimeen ja käyttäisivät meidän kierrätyskeskuksen palveluita.
Ormon kaupunki haluaa olla edelläkävijä ympäristöasioissa. Se tarkoittaa sitä, että siirryttiin käyttämään täysin 100% uusiutuvaa polttoainetta.
Lappeenrannan tavoitteena on, että vuonna 2050 kaupungista ei synny enää kaatopaikalle vietävää jätettä, vaan kaikki hyödynnetään.
Haluamme olla sähköpyöräilyn pääkaupunki.
Kuulepa, me ei tule enää tavaroita, mä joutamme sinut.
Ostetaan kotimaista ruokaa. Ja muistetaan kierrättää!
Me ollaan valmiina tekemään tosi paljon töitä, jotta muovia kierrätetään paremmin.
Thank you very much. This was to show you a bit the life in Finnish cities and the circular economy practices at the very grassroots level, and hopefully you will be able to learn some Finnish as well and able to read the subtitles. Next, I would like to say a few words about what kind of a common circular economy policy tools in practice there have been applied in Finnish cities. Of course, even though Finland was very early to establish the national circular economy roadmap, but still, of course, cities are undergoing a transformative learning process. And of course, there's still a way to go before cities really tap their potential to the fullest extent as change agents for the circular economy. Recently, the consulting company Deloitte conducted an interesting study to look at the circular economy initiatives in Finland's 6 largest cities to see really where are the strong points and where are maybe the weaknesses and where the focus has been. And we can clearly see that the construction sector is something that is very heavily actually on the focus in Finland. Finnish circular experimentation is strong in construction and process industries, a little bit less in sharing economy and personal consumption measures, but of course, even in those fields, we see a change, that the change is coming. Construction here refers to the use of, for example, recycled or renewable materials in city developments or to urban planning that is related to the use of zoning and public spaces to support circular economy development. And the video clip that we just saw, for example, we saw how the demolished old school was being used for construction of a new building. Another interesting picture is this one from the same study, which shows which have been the most common circular economy policy tools with some practical examples in the Finnish cities. Even here we see the green construction procurement is very important. For example, the use of recycled materials in infrastructure projects, but also land occupation and zoning to repurpose city lands to support circular economy or to reduce soil waste, for example. Industrial symbiosis parks, to develop industrial parks is another very interesting development that is happening. For example, in Turku, one of our big cities, there's a textile recycling hub now in the making. Waste management investments, this is very interesting. I'll be telling a bit more on this a bit later. Green mobility investments, of course, focus on active mobility and public transportation, as well as business support schemes such as providing coaching, financing and other types of support for businesses for them to transform into circular business models. Ladies and gentlemen, next I would like to focus a bit on one particular case example, namely our capital, Helsinki. Helsinki is a city of some 600,000 inhabitants. The greater Helsinki region with the neighboring cities is about double that number of inhabitants, so a bit over 1 million, which is about 1/5 of the whole Finnish population. Helsinki has put a lot of effort, actually, and emphasis on becoming one of the most sustainable capitals in the world. As in line with the Finnish government's objectives to become carbon neutral by 2035, also the city of Helsinki, for example, they approved 2 years ago their own action plan to make Helsinki carbon neutral by 2035 through nearly 150 actions which aim for carbon neutrality and the creation of a circular economy. Also, Helsinki has been active internationally. It was among the first cities to sign the European Circular Cities Declaration in 2020, a couple of months ago, together with 4 other Finnish cities and in total 26 European cities. This is also a very interesting initiative in which the UNEP has been also actively behind. And Helsinki has introduced its own citywide roadmap for circular economy, which is part of the 2035 carbon neutral action plan. And this circular economy roadmap outlines 4 particular key areas for action where they see a lot of potential, in particular, to implement and to reap the benefits of the circular economy. One, of course, not surprisingly, is construction. As we saw previously, construction is heavily focused in many cities. The built environment globally consumes almost 50% of all the materials produced. So it's essential to invest in not only the energy efficiency of the buildings, but also the building materials as well. In practice, a key action point for Helsinki has been to create a stronger understanding of the circular economy in the city's own construction processes through trainings and workshops, but also to actually adopt new requirements and procedures that promote circular economy in practice in such projects, including the zoning phase. Also essential is to take into account the building and construction site life cycle costs, including the demolition part. A second key area for action raised by Helsinki is procurement. The city of Helsinki makes procurements worth over 2 billion euros per year, which equals some 40% of the city's whole budget. And Helsinki has several projects underway regarding the promotion of low carbon procurement and the calculation of the procurement's carbon footprint through, for example, certain criteria in the procurement tenders. One very recent example is the new organization-wide policy regarding outsourced catering in meetings and events in Helsinki. The purpose is to reduce food waste and to avoid disposable plates. Or another example is that the city of Helsinki has established an internal marketplace for used second-hand indoor and outdoor furniture, so that if one unit, for example a school or a library, needs new furniture, they can first see through the marketplace if there are second-hand furniture available from other units before they procure new equipment. Third area for action here is green waste. The maintenance of the city's large public areas produce various types of green waste, of course, and currently such green waste is processed through composting or incineration mainly. But Helsinki is now paying a lot of attention to raise awareness of alternative ways as well, such as pyrolysis or the use of biochar, for example. And then the fourth area, which I will be telling a bit more in a moment separately, is the sharing economy. Given that cities own and operate, for example, big numbers of different kinds of facilities, this is a very, very interesting area. I will also add you a link if you want. If you're interested, you can have a look a bit later. I think we will not have time to look at this presentation, the video now, but if you're interested, you can have a look a video on the practice in Helsinki. But then I would like to say a few words still about the waste management issues, which is also something very strongly bubbling under in many cities in Helsinki, in Finland, including Helsinki. In Finland today, even 99% of municipal solid waste is recovered either as energy or by material recycling, in line with the national waste ban of Finland, which provides the strategic guidance. This means that about 1% only ends up in the landfill. And of course, this would not be possible without a strong behavioral change and support from the citizens and the attitudes that support this kind of a change, but also regulatory and technological enablers are truly key in such a change. And one interesting example is that there are a number of advanced waste management solutions that are being used as a built-in element in city planning or smart city initiatives. For example, this one is from the smart city district of Helsinki called Kalasatama, very close to the city center, where they have built this underground waste management and sorting system connected to the basements of the housing buildings, but also to the street level. Citizens can drop their sorted waste into these cubes using their digital apps, and then the waste is transported underground at 70 kilometers per hour to a centralized waste management facility. And this has received a lot of attention both internally and domestically, this system. And mindful of the time limitations, I will now move on to the last slide. I would like to share something about the sharing economy, which was actually one of the key areas also raised in the city of Helsinki in their circular economy plan. Of course, cities operate and own or otherwise possess big numbers of facilities, properties, but also other kinds of physical items, which are not always used at the maximal level. But now cities, including Helsinki, have come up with innovative solutions how to maximize the usage of these resources. For example, Helsinki is offering residents vacant premises owned by the city for work or meetings via digital services that they can use for booking. Also, the civil society organizations can book premises for their meetings in some of the vacant premises owned by the city's offices. Another example is relating to the libraries. These two pictures are from Oodi Library, which is the flagship library located in central Helsinki. Libraries in Finland have nowadays become more and more places that offer residents not only books, but a number of physical items to borrow. Nowadays, many residents, many citizens want to move away from the ownership of things that you might not use very often to borrowing things. For example, musical instruments or a sewing machine or exercise equipment, or even 3D printers. These are all things that are made available to the citizens by city libraries in Helsinki and increasingly in many other cities as well. By this way, also their usage is maximized, and people no longer need to store these items that they don't use very often in their small apartments. Ladies and gentlemen, I see my time is up, but I'm very happy that I had this opportunity to share some thoughts and experiences from Finland, and apologies for the technical problems at the beginning. Thank you very much for your time and attention.